Hi Neha, good morning.
Hi, Suhasini. Good morning. How are you doing?
I'm doing very fine. Thank you for accepting the invite to be one of the guest speakers for Conscious Leadership. I call it the evangelist group and the practitioner, the evangelist, whatever you want to call it. The idea being that we want more and more people to become more conscious in their living while they are leading, and that's the whole purpose of this group and the community. We hope to really make impact as a community, but just we are right now in the growing stage. That's where we are currently are. So for all the viewers and the listeners out there, I'm going to give a very brief introduction of Neha, and after listening to the introduction, I think you're going to watch out for every single word that Neha is actually going to speak out of her own mouth. It's that inspiring. So I'm going to read it out. Neha Agarwal is on a bold mission to empower 1 million women in their career journeys in the next 3 years. Now, I really don't know how to do it right now. 1 million is, an unimaginable number. And how? That is through community collaboration, through lean in circles, and the Iron Lady community. And now, she has also been instrumental in building the lean in Aspire to Inspire Circle, which we commonly call as A2I group for women leaders. And for those who are wondering what lean in circles are all about, it's basically a group of women who meet and interact on a regular basis to empower each other, to learn from each other, build leadership skills, mentor each other. And I'm a part of the group myself. So I can clearly say from my own experience that it is one of the most organized and very meaningful group, if I may say so, because the topics that are getting discussed out there are very relevant to what women leaders actually face on a day-to-day basis. And I somewhere don't want to restrict it only to leadership and corporates. Somewhere I see the group also progressing towards how to empower them in their whole lives, which is a much more bigger thing, and then working and corporate everything just becomes a subset. So thank you Neha for that group. It's really an honor to be part of the group and learn from everybody out there. I must actually acknowledge that. I've never said that before. But okay, so let me continue with the introduction. She's also honored to be the selected regional leader for Lean. And Neha is just not all about this, okay? There is more to her as well. It's a really long introduction that I've actually written on mobile. She works with Amazon Web Services, one of my former companies as well. So I really share a very passionate chord with Neha on that grounds. She works with Amazon Web Services as the GSI leader India market. And in her own words, and this is from her own LinkedIn profile, I am an alliance turnaround specialist by profession, collaborator by passion, and on a mission to support 1 million women in their career journey. Now, frankly, I have not heard of a more bold statement anywhere else, but it's really inspiring. So I'm going to just jump onto the first question. And the first thing that comes to my mind is, what do the words conscious leadership mean to you? Living consciously, leading consciously, what do they mean to you?
First of all, Suhasini, thank you so much for your kind words. I was myself very, very lost. So when I was trying to figure out a way for myself, whatever I was figuring out, I started putting it together in the group. So it all evolved in my own career journey, and that is how these groups got formed. And thank you so much. Thank you to each community member for being a part of that group and sharing openly, wholeheartedly. The I am the group, right? So it is not I am there because of the group. So I really believe in that philosophy. So thank you so much for this wonderful introduction. And for me, conscious leadership. Actually, I didn't know that conscious leadership is a word. I started it as a coping mechanism, actually. For me, I'm a dyslexic child. When I was small, I was heavily dyslexic. I was very disorganized also because dyslexia is not only a learning disability, but it also impacts your ability to organize. So I would be shouted by everybody, at school, at home, because I was not like everybody else. And everything looked very normal. So it was very difficult for others to say, if clothes are on the bed, why I'm not keeping it in the cupboard? For me, the simple activity of organizing a cupboard is still a nightmare.
Yeah.
So for me, I developed a coping mechanism of disassociation. I would just go in my dream world. And as I became older, that became a habit. And to get out of it, the only way was to be very, very mindful, to meditate, to journal, to be very self-aware. And I had to catch myself whenever, I am going on that dissociation journey. As an adult, dissociation was not an option because I was responsible for my own life, my own relationships. So I had to do lot of mindful practices, meditation. I live by notebooks. You will find notebooks and papers everywhere where I am. I started writing down things. I'm a visual thinker, so I started putting things visually, and that was the starting point for me. So for me, conscious leadership, or the word conscious, means being very self-aware, being self-aware of your own emotions, your own actions, and how they are going to impact others.
Yeah, actually, this reminds me of something that we used to talk in Iron Lady. It said moment to moment responsibility. We used to say that if you have to play your A game, you have to take moment to moment responsibility for your actions, which actually requires a very high level of self awareness. But very true. But so that gets me to the next question: is what are some efforts that you pursue in your own self mastery journey? How do you actually practice this moment to moment awareness? Because frankly, I know it's a journey, because I'm a mindfulness practitioner myself, and it didn't come very easy to me. There is a lot of brain rewiring that needs to be done when I say moment to moment responsibility, moment to moment awareness, and go deep into your self awareness. But just want our viewers and listeners to understand from your perspective your journey as to how you are building upon yourself in this journey.
So Suhasini, some very wonderful things happened to me unplanned. My parents, and this is back in 2000, my parents wanted to, take me and meet people for my marriage, families. They were looking for a match, and I wanted to escape all of that. I really didn't like all of that conversation because I wanted to go and work. So my father's boss was a mindful practitioner, and he was conducting a lot of camps, and he would invite my father for those camps, and my father was least interested. So it caught my fancy, and I really wanted to do that. And I told my father I can go. And my father was like so happy that at least somebody is going from the family. His boss would be happy.
Yeah.
And and I was the youngest child. I was only 19 then. 18, 19, and they would make me sit in front. I started attending all those classes, and I did a whole Reiki course with them. And that was a journey within. That was the first step, and it happened at a very young age for me. And he was a very learned man, and sometimes God sends such people in your life. You really need it, and he sent that person in my life. He was 58 years old. There were 2 years for his retirement, and I got all the wisdom from him. And since I was the only child in that group, the average age was 55 plus. In that group, I was the only child. I was treated so well. And there were a lot of practices where they would say that, take out your emotion, your anger, your hatred, and my flower would remain like that. Because, and I would say, mera flower to murjhaya nahi hai, and that practitioner would say, you're too young, my child. So to take out anything you take in right now. And then he was saying, I really couldn't understand much, but I took in. Today, when I reflect back, I realize what that trainer meant. And for me, that was the foundation. It really set the stage for me. But real breakthrough happened for me when I started working as a leader. Sometimes you have to fire people. Sometimes you have to do very tough performance reviews. Sometimes you have to give feedback, and I was finding it very tough. That how can I ruin somebody's life? How can I deliver this bad news? And that is when I learned about conscious leadership, and I realized that most of the difficult conversations are not difficult because of the other person. They're difficult because I have unresolved emotions. I have not resolved what is in my head, and that is why the conversation anyway is tough. I am adding to the difficulty level. And then I started writing down that what are the benefits to that person and to me. And I realized if the person really knows they are not suitable for this type of job, maybe they'll find another job. If they're really slipping in their performance and I'm able to highlight the areas, maybe they will recover. So, and active listening. Maybe I am not right. And I started going with a lot of open mind, he, uh, interrupting my own biases. I am perceiving the person in a certain way. Like I am a fast thinker. I do things very fast. But a slow person can also achieve the same result by doing things slowly. So, is it my bias or is the problem real? So, to get to that, I had to really listen. A lot of active listening I had to develop to really interrupt those biases, take a lot of point of views, and last but not the least, right, empathy is the most important part. If somebody is not able to do, it could be because of the family condition, it could be because of health condition. We are not even aware what the other person is going through. And sometimes we're not even equipped to feel that pain. The pain is so much. So least we can do is at least be empathetic. So for me,
Actually, I should have made notes because while you were talking, I think there was just insights like popping up like a light bulb. Actually,
so for me, when I started leading, I started going deeper into the subject, meeting various people, because I really didn't want to ruin lives, but at the same time, I wanted to nurture so many people who are working with me. So I started going deeper into the subject.
Excellent. Okay. Now I realized my mistake and I actually started writing the things that you were saying because there were so many insights that were popping up. One is when you started the conversation, when you said that you found doing tough conversations. I mean, that was not something that came very easily to you. I find that it has got a lot of reference to how one talks with oneself also. So, for example, if I find when I am correcting my own self, if I find that very difficult, then the same gets reflected outside. I mean, when I'm correcting other people, in fact, the word correcting itself is incorrect. It is more of connecting. Exactly. And the moment I shift from this mindset, from correction to connection from within, the same gets reflected outside as well.
Outside also.
Yeah, that was one. So one was the inner critiquing. I mean, that transformation needs to happen if you have to actually nurture and empower others and lead them in the right direction. So that was one that just came to my mind. The second one that you spoke about, active listening. I mean, that is one of the most rarest skills that I find nowadays. Because I think whatever I see outside, people are listening to either respond or just hear, and hearing is very different from listening. I mean, or they just have something in their own mind. So for example, the person says this, this is what the next statement I should immediately come up with. So literally it's like the rumination is going on in their own head, saying that acha, what next to say, what is my point of view. And and nowadays I find active listening like very rare, to just listen as a presence. I mean, I find that in coaches, because there is a lot of practicing element that goes behind developing that skill in itself. But otherwise, I really have my reservations on seeing it being practiced on a large scale out there. And the third part that I loved when you spoke about empathy, and actually you said it as empathy, but actually it was compassion. So there is one interesting thing. So just a little bit on the brain. So when you're empathetic towards someone, there are different areas of the brain that come up as a light bulb. But when you're compassionate towards someone, then the areas that are getting highlighted in your brain are actually different, because compassion requires you to take action. It's not just feeling with someone else. And I saw you actually practice that when you are guiding other people, involving them in tough conversations and leading them towards the right way. And the last icing was the cake was when you actually said, I want to nurture more people in this journey. I mean, that was really fantastic. I don't know how many insights I just missed because I didn't really write it down. But yeah, these were some of my top of the mind that I could clearly resonate when you were talking. So I'm going to have one last question for you, and that question is about being a conscious leadership practitioner yourself. What are some tips, suggestions, recommendations, advice, whatever you want to call it, that you want to offer for other people to consider? They might or may not take it. That's perfectly fine. But it's our job to make an offering of a recommendation or a suggestion to what really worked for us. It's just like sharing our own life lessons with others. So, what would be some of those tips that you would like to share?
So, Suhasini, something that has worked for me is asking questions. When I was not able to have a tough conversation, and usually I don't like when somebody critiques my work, or you have to just tell me once.
Yeah.
And my boss would write my name on the blackboard actually, like they write in the school, and I would actually move mountains to get my name off the blackboard.
Yeah.
And when I started leading a team, that team had nothing. If I would write their name on the board, it didn't matter to them.
Yeah.
And I went and asked my boss that, you do this to me and it works. It does not work on others. So he said, Neha, not everybody else is Neha.
Yeah.
And I don't write everybody's name, right? I write your name because I know that this is what works with you. So every individual has to be treated differently. For some people, they get only charged up after you give them two whacks. You need to, really. Some people you really need to define this is what has to be done, drive it rigorously. So he said you need to make your own mental model about each person in your team. What are their motivations, and for that you need to deeply connect, listen. What are their motivations? What are their superpowers? And then align your management strategy basis that. So that was a very powerful tip for me. And from that moment onwards, my leadership journey changed. Then I joined Amazon, and I asked this question again that I know tough conversations, but and I do all these practices, but still I find it tough. So they gave me some more tips that, before the tough conversation, you should spend some time with yourself. And here are the questions that you should answer. So I find that anybody who is in this journey should be asking questions. That is the only way. At least I find it very easy to learn when I ask questions. And second is be forgiving, right? You will make mistakes. You will not get it right for the first time, but be forgiving. It is not perfect. Some mistakes will happen on the path, and few mistakes you will only look back and realize.
Yeah.
With that knowledge and that expertise, only that much you could have done.
Oh yeah, very true.
So as you grow, you realize. So it's okay. Be forgiving, and last but not the least, right? Your intentions matter a lot in this conscious leadership, and we didn't touch upon it. Intentions are so powerful. If you intend to make an impact, if you intend to make that change. If you intend well of that person, well of your team, that intention can really move mountains. Being intentional is the last tenet. Even if you don't know anything, have that intention. Things you will figure it out. There'll be enough people to support. Being intentional is a very, very powerful tenet. It attracts support.
Wow. I mean, being intentional was one of my favorite words from Amazon, actually. I mean, if there's any one word that's made a difference in my own life, that is being intentional about towards anything. If you want to achieve any significant impact in that area, be it self mastery, be it you want to empower or nurture others, because otherwise, in today's area of information, I mean, in today's day and age of the information overload that's happening, literally, I mean, if you're not intentional about anything, then I mean, you are just getting flown by whatever is getting offered on
Yeah.
your plate in the form of social media or information or anything. So yeah, being intentional is
That's a
extremely
filter,
powerful.
actually. In fact, so Asni, when I joined Amazon, everybody said intentional, intentional. Then I actually Googled that word. I read 2 books on that. I'm like, and I had no heart to ask because nobody was asking that question. And I made a write up and I sent to Mr. Puneet Chandok, who was our then country leader. And I said, is my understanding right? Is this what intentionality means?
Yeah,
He said, yes.
yeah, the Amazon language itself is very different. So yeah,
Very, it's ingrained. So I had to ask him कि ठीक है मतलब करना क्या है? Being
yeah,
intentional is good, but do what? Then he said, have a goal in mind and then definite action towards it. It acts as a filter. The
yeah,
rest you
yeah.
will cut. I said, okay, now it is super clear
So
to
for
me.
people outside Amazon, the way I understood intentional was very simple. Be dedicated towards something. I mean, absolute dedication. I mean, 100%, no dilution, no filtration, just absolute dedication towards something will get you your results. And then you will figure out ways to build mechanisms. You will figure out ways to build the path towards achieving whatever you want to achieve. That's something that that's what my own interpretation actually for
So I have been writing a lot on intention, in being intentional, because that word really caught my attention. And I took almost 1 year to figure it out because everybody says, but nobody explains what it
yeah,
is.
yeah, yeah, absolutely.
So
It's just
that
the
is the
amount of
ongoing
energy.
topic of
No, no,
energy.
absolutely. It's just the amount of energy you're feeding into something, and then
Into
that energy will make things happen. Like your vision to empower 1 million, it's impossible for you to single handedly achieve that mission. But the amount of energy that you put into your vision or your cause, that cause will further get activated on itself. It will become a dynamic cause in nature. It's not something which is
something.
static. I mean, that will get things moving for you actually. So that is my core belief, and that was something that even when we started our entrepreneurship journey, we were like, let's feed this vision of ours to make a more nurturing world, make a world which is more in such a way that people are experiencing transformative growth. People are experiencing their highest form of self leadership, because literally leading others comes only after you manage yourself to a certain level. I'm not asking about mastery at a certain point, but a certain level of self mastery. So, and we're just feeding it with all the possible energy with speakers like you, and it's just not my own energy. Like I'm borrowing your own energy also and feeding it into the
Putting.
vision, and then that in turn will make the wheels roll faster. So yeah, that's very true. Okay, with this we have really come to the end of this. We wanted this to be a powerful free flowing conversation and just talk whatever comes in the mind, top of our mind, and allow that to make an impact in our own minds as well as to all those who are viewing or listening to this. So, thank you so much, Neha. It's an absolute pleasure and honor to have you and have
Thank
this
you.
conversation. I mean, even this is the end for all those out there. This is the first time even I'm having a conversation with Neha on a Zoom call, apart from the virtual interaction that we keep having on our lean in group. But absolutely enjoyed this conversation with you, Neha.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, so I think we are facing some technical issues out here. But yeah, okay, it's time to close the
Thank
call.
you. Thank you so much.
Thank you
Yes,
so much.
some last. Yes.
Now you're back. Now you were frozen for a while.
Thank you. Thank you.
Back. Okay, thank you.
Aha. Okay. Okay.
Sure. Okay.
Thank you. Thank you so much.